What if I told you that the car you are driving right now is lying to you? That the spare tire bolted to your trunk, the jack resting under your seat, the entire ritual of changing a flat on the side of a highway, all of it is about to become as obsolete as a cassette tape. 11 years ago, a man stood on a stage in China and made a promise that the entire automotive industry laughed at. He said, and I quote the spirit of it, "The future of our cars will not need a spare tire. If a tire blows out, you just rip it off and keep driving. 3 wheels. That is it." His name is Wang Fuanfu. He runs BYD. And for over a decade, that quote followed him around like a ghost. Engineers mocked it. Competitors used it as evidence that he had finally lost the plot. Internet commenters turned it into a meme. A car driving on 3 wheels. Sure, and maybe pigs will start flying business class. But here's the part everyone missed. He wasn't joking. He was building. Fast forward to this month. A stage in China. Bright lights. A crowd of journalists who probably came expecting another incremental update, another slightly faster 0 to 60, another bigger touchscreen. Standard stuff. Then, the curtain drops on 2 vehicles. The Fangcheng Bao 5 Cloud Chariot Flash Charge Edition, and its bigger brother, the Bao 8 Flash Charge Edition. And then, they did the impossible. Live. On stage, the car lifted its own wheel into the air. No jack. No human pushing. No mechanical scissor. Lift hidden underneath. The vehicle, sensing a command from a phone app, raised one of its own tires nearly 12 inches off the ground. A technician walked over, removed the wheel in 3 minutes flat, and the car just sat there. Patient, balanced, stound, holding itself up like a yoga instructor. Then they did something even more absurd. They removed the wheel entirely. No replacement. No spare. Nothing. And the car drove away on 3 wheels at 15 kilometers per h/hour, calm as a Sunday morning. The promise from 11 years ago had just walked off the page and into reality. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool party trick, but why does this matter to me? A person who lives in a city and parks in a garage. Here is why it matters. Because this isn't really about 3 wheels. This is about a fundamental shift in what a car actually is. For 100 years, a car has been a collection of mechanical parts bolted together, governed by the cruel laws of physics and the limitations of steel. If a part broke, you were stranded. If a tire popped on a mountain road in the middle of nowhere, you had 2 choices: sweat through a tire change in the dirt, or wait for a tow truck that might never come. But here is the part everyone misses. The system that makes this magic possible is called Disuse P Ultra. And it is not a suspension system. Calling it a suspension system is like calling a smartphone a telephone. Technically true, wildly insufficient. It is a full body intelligence network. 4 independent hydraulic actuators at each corner of the vehicle. Millisecond level posture control. Sensors that read the ground beneath the tires faster than your brain can register a blink. The car is constantly thinking, constantly adjusting, constantly deciding whether you should be higher, lower, leaning left, leaning right, or floating in place. Stuck in deep sand. The car lifts the buried wheel up to 300 millimeters off the ground, almost a full foot, and powers out using the other 3. Stuck in snow. Same trick. Stuck in mud at the bottom of a ravine with no cell signal and a flat tire. The car becomes its own rescue vehicle. The maximum lifting load is 9 tons. 9 tons. Let that sink in. The hydraulic system can hoist nearly the weight of a fully loaded delivery truck, and it can hold that position, locked, steady, hour after hour. The single wheel lift can stay elevated for 24 hours straight if needed. Now, switch contexts. Forget the desert. Picture your grandmother. Picture her trying to climb into a tall SUV and wincing because her knee hurts. The same system that lifts wheels into the sky can also drop the entire car 90 millimeters lower. A welcome mode. The vehicle physically bows down to greet its passengers, then rises back up when you are ready to drive. This is the part that breaks my brain. The same machine that conquers Mongolian dunes also tucks itself low, so a child can climb in without a struggle. But the wheels are only half the story. The other revolution buried inside these vehicles is the second-generation blade battery paired with what they call flash charge technology. And the numbers here are not incremental. They are violent. 5 minutes of charging from 10% to 70%. 5 minutes. Sob. That is the time it takes to use a gas station bathroom and grab a bag of chips. 9 minutes. From 10% to 97%. Nearly a full battery in less time than it takes to listen to 2 songs. And here is the kicker. Even at minus 30 degrees Celsius, the kind of cold that turns most electric cars into expensive paperweights, the charging speed only slows by 3 minutes. 3 minutes. In a Siberian deep freeze. The BYD Flash Charge Edition gets 200 kilometers of pure electric range and a combined range of 1,380 kilometers. The BYD 5 version gets 210 kilometers electric, with a combined range of 1,310 kilometers. Translation: you can drive from one major city to another and another before you ever need to think about charging. Now, let's zoom out, because this is where the story gets really interesting. The off-road market, the world of rugged trucks and overlanders and weekend warriors, has been the last fortress that electric cars could not crack. Toyota, Land Cruiser. Jeep, Wrangler, Land Rover, Defender. These were the kings. Built like tanks, powered by gasoline. Trusted by people who actually drive into places where the road ends. Electric vehicles were dismissed as toys. Range anxiety in the desert. No charging stations in the wilderness. Battery failure in extreme cold. The off-road tribe folded its arms and said, "Not in our world." But here is the part everyone misses. The rules just changed. Because the old advantages of mechanical four-wheel drive, of massive engines and heavy-duty transfer cases, are now being out-engineered by something the old guard cannot replicate. Software, electronic control, real-time intelligence. A gasoline differential cannot lift a wheel out of the sand. A traditional axle cannot adjust its height to clear a boulder. A mechanical jack cannot be operated from your phone while you sit safely inside the cabin during a sandstorm. The new battlefield is electronic, smart chassis, software, coordination, drive response, energy management. And on this battlefield, Chinese brands have a massive head start. Now, will this car instantly conquer the market? Probably not. Weapon not. The BAO 5 and BAO 8 have not historically been the best sellers in their lineup. The off-road crowd is loyal, skeptical, slow to change. People still ask the hard questions. What happens to the battery in truly extreme heat? What about long-term reliability after thousands of kilometers of brutal terrain? What if you break down in a place with no service center for 1,000 miles? These are fair questions. Real question. Will question, but every transformative technology goes through the same 3 stages. Doubt, acceptance, domination. The BYD. Hybrid cars went through it. Smartphones went through it. Streaming video went through it. And now, electric off-roaders are entering stage 2. So, here is where we land. 11 years ago, a man made a promise that sounded like science fiction. Today, that promise drove itself onto a stage on 3 wheels and changed an industry. The lie you have been told is that off-road vehicles must be loud, thirsty, uncomfortable, and dumb. That ruggedness and refinement cannot live in the same machine, that the spare tire is a sacred object. The truth is simpler and stranger. The car of the future does not need your spare tire. It does not need your jack. It might not even need 4 wheels. It just needs to think faster than the ground beneath it. And somewhere, in a factory in Shenzhen, the next promise is already being built. The one we will all laugh at today and believe in 11 years from now at